What I believe is common sense, I'm learning it's not that common. Education is often said to be the great equalizer in society, meaning that the greatest catalyst for social and economic mobility is a good education. In many ways, I believe that to be true, and I'm a strong advocate for education. But I also see the challenges in today's environment and the need for these systems to be more adaptive in meeting modern needs. So I brought in the two individuals in our community that can help shed some light on these questions and so much more. Sheree Utash from WSU Tech, Kelly Bielefeld from Wichita Public Schools, and we covered a lot of topics, including the state of public education, workforce needs, and the role that their two organizations play in the economy, what opportunities are out there, what's on the horizon. It was a fascinating discussion that left me eager and optimistic. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Sheree Utash and Kelly Bielefeld. Dr. Utash, Bielefeld, thank you. I'm so grateful that you're here in this conversation because I know that I'm asking two of the busiest people in our entire community to carve out some time and have conversations about some things around education in 2025 and what that looks like and workforce and these pipelines. So I know that I'm asking you to give up time and you're here graciously because you're busy. So I just want to thank you for coming in. This means a lot to me and I think we're going to have a good conversation. I want to tell you a story. When I first got into office, this is 2023, I think I'd been there a month. I'm sitting in a meeting at Greater Wichita Partnership, and they have their list of speakers that are coming and the itinerary, and I'm dilly-dallying, trying to study and learn, and you two gave a presentation that literally I have not stopped thinking about in over 3 years, roughly 3 years. And you gave a presentation on things called future-ready schools. And to be honest, I had never heard of the concept. I had known there was something going on in front of North High, but I didn't know what this was. And you two gave a presentation jointly on future-ready schools that literally, it's like a light bulb went off in my mind. And I bet I have texted each of you independently 100 times since then, wanting to know more. How can I help? What do we need to do? So we're going to talk about some of those things. But before we get to that, I really want to know this trajectory. Like, how did you get superintendent at Wichita Public Schools, CEO or president of WSU Tech? Like, how did you get here? What was this trajectory to get you here to where you're at today? Kelly?
Oh, you want me to go first?
I think so.
All right.
Yeah.
So thank you for inviting us. I love this conversation.
It'll be fun.
This is fantastic. So I've been superintendent 3 years now, began in 2023. But prior to that, I started with the Wichita Public Schools in 2020. And I was in charge of CTE, which is Career and Technical Education. Mm-hmm. So I worked with Dr. Utash and her team from day one in the district. And I was part, along with Dr. Scott Lucas at WSU Tech. It was the two of us that really got together to create this model of the Future Ready Centers that we know today. And so that's a bit of how I ended up in the right spot in the right position to apply for the superintendent job, because I was, I've been on the partnerships strategic advisory team, part of the chamber, part of, city to city trips. I developed a lot of community connections because the whole premise of the Future Ready Center is that we create a path for entry-level jobs for kids, for jobs that are in our community.
Yeah, that's it.
So to know the people in our community that are hiring our kids, that was a pivotal part of what we were trying to do. So began my career as a teacher out in Goddard. I've been in Sedgwick County pretty much my whole life. Yeah. School administrator for 21 years now, mostly a principal, but that's kind of how I ended up here. So there's days I still ask myself how I ended up here. I mean, it's such a big district, such a big undertaking to care and to be responsible for so many kids and their futures.
46,000
kids. Yeah, 46,000 kids. It's humbling, it's meaningful, and there's a lot of responsibility to it. So, yeah.
Bless you, man. Appreciate the service that you gave to this community. Dr. Utash,
yes, sir.
I tell people, we're gonna build a statue of you one day around here. You've been in this rodeo for a bit, and you've shaped a lot of different things. Like, help me understand this trajectory. How did you get to this role at WSU Tech? And there are big things happening out there right now. Mm-hmm. Big things happening. Tell me about it.
So I came to education very non-traditionally. I came from business and a corporate business and private business, so entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Those are probably two of my real strong suits. And I came into education so non-traditionally. My first job was at Wichita State University, and I was an assistant director for marketing at the West Side Center when it was next to Big's Bar.
Yes.
Okay, I took the job. I'd been in the job just a couple of days, and the director came to me and said, I really don't need an assistant director of marketing. I need an assistant director of this center. And I go, what does that mean? And she said, well, I need you to kind of help me run this place. And I said, I don't know what that is, but I'll be really good at it. And that started my career in higher ed. And I'm 31 years in now. Yeah. So I've been at what was WATC, now WSU Tech, for 17 years, 11 years as president. Never thought I would be doing what I'm doing. That was this. I'm kind of the same way, and I've been doing this for a long time. And I kind of think, how did I get here?
Yeah.
But I love the intrinsic value that you get in changing people's lives. And I think, my love for business and entrepreneurship and education kind of landed in the perfect place to be able to take those three passions and be able to blend them together at WSU Tech. And it's been a huge blessing. Yeah. It's been fun to grow. When I got there 17 years ago, we had 700 students. We'll touch over almost 11,000 this year.
It's wild.
So it's huge growth, economic growth as far as for this city and county. Yep. We had about 100 employees. We have 400 full-time, 800
what all happens
part.
at WSU Tech? I think that's the question a lot of people have is you have the mothership, Wichita State University. Mm-hmm. What's the relationship to WSU Tech, and what all do you guys do there?
So we affiliated with WSU 8 years ago. We're in our 8th year of the affiliation. And the best way to say that is we're a 2-year technical community college under the umbrella of the university. Okay. But we structured it as an affiliation. So, we have our own budgets, we have our own grants, we have our own Title IX, and we have an advisory board that moved from a governing board to an advisory board. And we have 4 campuses in the city of Wichita. 17 years ago, it's hard to believe. We had 12 campuses in Wichita. Way too many. Yeah. We have 4 today. So, our focus is all on building a talent pipeline for every industry in this community. Right. So aviation, manufacturing, IT, cyber, healthcare, hospitality, culinary, what I call applied technologies, which is construction and automotive and HVAC. And so that's the drive. But we really had to take the college and completely take it down to, it was pretty down to nothing, and finish that job and then just recreate the whole thing.
Incredible.
And so that's been the process that we've been working on. Yeah. And it's, it's the power of a team. It's the power of the people.
You both have great teams.
We have great teams, and it's the power of those people that are just innovative and they're just purpose-driven to the mission of what both of us do.
There is such a connect between Wichita Public Schools and all of our public schools, not just in Wichita, but all public schools, and WSU Tech, and then the mothership, Wichita State University. The connect, though, on the technical side is so interesting and unique to me. It's fascinating to me. But what I want people to understand is help the public understand, what is the state of the union for education in 2025? How has it changed? What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? But what's the state of the union for general education and educating our young people in 2025?
Yeah, that's a big, broad question. I would say a couple things. I do think, especially in the secondary and post-secondary world, a few things. I think there's more openness to other alternatives other than just 4-year degree, more than ever before. There's more of a spectrum from 14 years old to 24 years old than there ever was. It used to be you graduate from high school, there's kind of a finite end, and then there's a finite start to college, and then there's a finite end, there's a finite start to a job. It's much more of a blurred pathway where you start some college in high school, and then you have some of that you take with you after graduation, or maybe even a full associate's degree when you graduate high school. We do a lot of that, along with you don't wait to get the degree before you start the job. You probably start a job, whether it's applied learning or internship or whatever, before you. So instead of these kind of stops and starts that were pretty straightforward, it's much more of a blended model, which I think allows us to engage with industry in a different way than we've ever have before, where employers have multiple insertion points along the way of a kid's journey, a student's journey.
Well, Kelly, do you think, is that new in education, to where during public education, when you're thinking about elementary school kids, middle school kids, high school kids, has that always been a thing in public education where you're thinking about workforce and you're actually trying to connect with it? Or is this a recent innovation, a recent trajectory where we're like, no, this has got to be intentional? Has this always been the case in education?
No, I would say it's more recent, in the last 20 years of the traditional liberal arts education, the college for all. That's what most, the ACT test that we give is really all about college readiness and being able to do things in college, as opposed to, and then there was some vocational, VOTech classes, we used to call them back in the day, that were applied skills for life. They weren't applied skills for jobs. And that's what, like our culinary programs in both of our facilities, our culinary programs aren't home ec. It's not cooking macaroni. It's culinary skills for a career in an industry. And we do some of that on a smaller scale at high schools. And then at Niche, they do the similar thing there. So there is a lot more of an alignment with industry, that we have our kids thinking more about the job and the career field, as opposed to just, get a liberal arts, wide spanning education. And there's something to be said for liberal arts education, not dismissing it. We need kids who can think critically, even if they're welders or automotive technicians. We need some of those skills too. But to align with industry ideas and jobs that are, especially jobs that are here in our community that we need, I do feel like that's relatively new.
Well, I'm a Wichita Public School product, class of 1999. I went to North High for 2 years, graduated from Northwest. And I don't remember this conversation in high school. Now, I was thinking about a lot of other things in high school. I was thinking about hitting baseballs. And so it wasn't, but I don't remember this connect in the way where we're talking about workforce development and what it looks like to enter the market and preparing you to enter. And I think that's a unique role that we see today. And the unique thing that's happening is these discussions are fluid. These discussions are very public, to where we're actually talking about how do we prepare you to enter the workforce. Not only do we prepare you to just be a better thinker and to perform well on your ACT, but that's the role. The role of the technical school, though, has changed dramatically.
It has.
And I think the importance of the
Very
technical
changed.
school, help me understand the importance of the technical school and the need and the problem that it's solving in community.
So it has changed a lot, and it's not linear. It used to be very linear. It's not today.
Yeah, that's
and
the
the
word.
value of credentialing or currency, academic currency, has changed a lot. Degrees are still super important, but there's a huge emphasis on industry credentials and tech certificates and 2-year applied studies degrees, applied science degrees. I mean, those are things that we didn't have. I'm a product of Wichita Public Schools. I'm a Southeast Buffalo graduate. And that has changed a lot just in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of reasons for that, I think. There's COVID, I think, exacerbated some of this. You
agree, Kelly?
Yeah, I do agree
who
with that.
had to go to work?
Yeah.
Everybody that we teach in a technical college, they were working.
Yeah.
They weren't not home. They were at work, because you can't build airplanes from home.
That's right.
And you can't take care of patients from home, and you can't run, just all the different things. So I think it's changed a lot. And I think industry has helped drive that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, when when Dr. Lucas and Kelly started thinking about what is this Future Ready Center, I mean, they came. We had conversations about this. The big dream became, what if? And this was such a what they call it, a BHAG. It was such a big, hairy, audacious goal.
I love it.
We were like, okay, what if we could have high school students walk across the stage and get their high school diploma on one night, and the next night they walk across the stage and get their 2-year degree and they're job ready, because they have knowledge, they have skills, and they have work ethic. Now, that does not mean that they won't continue their education.
Right.
Absolutely. Because here's what happens. And we're realizing that dream today. We're seeing it in spades. all over this city. We're seeing high school graduates that are also graduating because of the career technical education pathways that we've created with high schools. We're seeing high school graduation rates go up. In some cases, it's just because kids are getting to do what they really want to do. And they're finding a purpose and a passion in what they want to do.
Yes.
So when you think about that, then industry looks at this and they're like, I want them, 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 I want them. And then they get into those jobs where they're, no matter what the industry is, and they get that opportunity to look and see what they want to do. Maybe they want to do this forever, but maybe they don't.
Yeah.
I want to do this job. Okay, then we take you from here to here. I want to do this job. Well, that's going to require more education. And so it's not linear. It's kind of building almost it's like a ladder to me.
Yeah, on ramps, off ramps.
And I say all the time, education is a super highway. You get on, you get off, you get what you need, you go to work, and then you say, hey, I want to do that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to jump back on that highway, and then I'm going to get off again, and I'm going to get back on. That's lifelong learning. That's that's the essence of what you want in a city and in a vibrant community.
But is this a paradigm shift in the way we're thinking? Let me ask a couple. I got a lot of questions, but let me ask a couple. Is this a paradigm shift in the way that we think about education today? That's a modern paradigm shift? That's the first question. The second question is this just unique to our community, or are there other communities across the country that are talking the way we're talking here?
Yeah, I do think it's a paradigm shift. I do because I think, you think of the acceleration of learning in just our world, or the technology we have, that the jobs of today, 50% of the jobs of 20 years from now don't exist today. And that is iterative, and that becomes faster and faster and faster. So 50 years ago, you could get a 4-year degree and you would have all the knowledge you needed to do that job for 20 years. That is part of why the micro-credentials, the credentials, those things are so much more important, because the technology changes so quickly that we have to have ways to meet that need, because and that's why we call them future ready. That's literally why we call them that. And if you ever go into one, we don't bolt this things to the floor. Everything's on wheels, because in the future we're going to need to wheel this machine out. We're going to put a new one in, because we're going to have to teach something different, and that is a different paradigm. I don't think we're used to, older folks, different generations are used to seeing learning in that way. You have to be a lifelong learner if you're going to be successful.
Okay, paint the case. We're starting to draw and paint this picture as to what these things are and why they're needed. I want to go one layer deeper, because one of the facts that you've shared about Wichita Public Schools and your students and your families that literally has kind of embedded into my soul, and I can't stop thinking about it, and why I'm such an advocate for these future-ready schools, that 82% of the kids that live in the Wichita Public School District come from families that live under the poverty level. And I'll remember, and I even rose my hand on that day, and I said, I think that this is one of the greatest tickets I've ever seen to reversing generational poverty in our community.
Agree.
To getting upstream, because education is the great equalizer.
Yep.
And if we can get people into past where they can apply their education and turn them into good paying jobs with benefits, this is how poverty gets reversed in generations. This is a big deal, and I hear you, and I'm so thank you for talking about this so much, about the impacts of families in your school district and poverty and the impact of that. Am I wrong to think that generational poverty, that this is one of the many things, one of the most important things we can be doing here, is to get these kids future ready into workforce for generational poverty? Am I connecting the dots, or am I off base somewhere?
100%. I 100% believe that. And one of the in the secret sauce of the Future Ready Centers, one of the reasons it works is because a lot of our kids that are growing up in poverty, they have the intelligence, they have the drive,
Yes.
they have,
Thank you.
They want to, they don't have the map. I want to get over to that mountain, but if I don't have a map, I don't know how to get there. The Future Ready Center provides a map. So in the first semester, you're going to do these things, and we're going to help you with those things. We're going to look at your resume. We're going to help you apply. We're going to talk to you after you get the job interview. We're going to coach you on that. We're going to give you the map to get the job. We put applied learning, work-based learning at the end of every semester, your senior year. Every kid gets work-based learning if they want it. This is the map to get the job. Some kids don't want the job, but we have a kid named Martin that is one of our success stories. It started at Textron, $26 an hour, 18 years old.
Yeah.
And you left out the best part when you were sharing yours. How much does this cost, Dr. Utash, for a high school kid to
Come
get through?
on, Dr.
Well, that's we have a lot to be thankful for because the state foots the bill.
Yeah, they do.
And in Excel and CTE. And here's the thing. This could have never happened without the state, the governor, and the legislators' support of Excel and CTE.
Yep.
We couldn't be doing this.
This wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
We would not be building a talent pipeline of over 3,000 high school students in the city of Wichita together.
Time out, because I want to get on the state's role here because this is important. But 3,000 students in this pipeline?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is
we have over 3,500 high school students this fall.
And they're doing programming in Future Ready Schools that covers what? Give us the array of the things that they're doing.
Healthcare, IT, cyber, manufacturing, aviation.
Yeah, welding,
automotive, welding, machining.
Yep.
The whole plethora.
Yep.
They're
learning. They're getting these credentials, 2 years degrees, debt free.
So they get to go into the economy with a paycheck.
And many times these kids graduate and they get the degree, they get the job, and we all know employers here that are saying, "We'll take all of them.
Yes,
we'll take them all."
And they become, the day they graduate and get that job, they become the highest wage earners in their family.
Yeah, and go back to the generational poverty. Over 60% of them are first generation college students.
Wow,
over 60%. They couldn't. They wouldn't have this roadmap. We really don't, I think, appreciate and really understand the incredible life-changing work that's happening for these young people and their families and the families that are going to be forthcoming.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the generational change in this. And that's so powerful. But I've got to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
The state has
Agreed.
provided that. But I also think you mentioned something. Is it unique? The way we have set ours up here in Wichita between 259 and
that
us.
makes it unique?
Well, it's the relationship and it's the way it's put together.
Help me understand the relationship and why that's unique.
Well, here's what I think's unique. It's that it's not territorial. It's that when we created the logo for the Future Ready Centers at the beginning, we worked with Garner Design, and as we're sitting around the table brainstorming and all that, and he said, "Well, tell me, what is the partnership? Is it 50-50? Is it 60-40?" And we said, "It's 100. It's 100-100, right?"
Yeah, it's 100-100.
And all of those 3,500 kids are not Wichita Public Schools kids. WSU Tech does a great job with all the high schools, but I think our partnership is unique because we have both committed to no barrier / low barrier. So whether it's the uniforms, the textbooks, the tools, we provide the transportation. They provide textbooks and instructors, technology. It's our teachers and WSU Tech teachers. That model is not normal. Like that, that kind of synergistic, we're going to essentially just work together to solve problems and put our resources together and put our heads together, and we're just going to make it happen. We own one of the facilities. WSU Tech owns one of the facilities, right? Wow. So it isn't as though there's egos at stake. I mean, I truly think that both organizations are, if this is good for kids and we're helping kids to make our community better, we're in. I really feel
agree
that
with
way.
that. I mean, and we never talk about that.
We don't
have those conversations. We're just like, what can we do next? And what problem do we solve next? And how can we get more kids in these pipelines that are so badly needed?
Sheree, explain the importance of this concept and where we're going. And we're a few years in now. I mean, how many years total?
4 years.
4 years in. So we're just starting to ramp, right?
Mm-hmm.
The trajectory's just started. The momentum is building. Help make the case. Why is this important for this community? Why does this community need this model, this programming? What's at stake? What's at stake here?
I think it's really important to think when we think about if we didn't have this program, if we did not have the Future Ready Centers, which I contend is a model that could be replicated all across the state.
Yep, I agree.
But if we did not have them, we would be building probably half of the talent pipeline that we're building. Think about, I'll just call out Textron. They'll hire every single person out at North High School.
And set as much.
Yeah.
They will hire every single one of them that finish. From the healthcare, think about a lot of them go straight into the world of work, but also there's gateway courses that they're getting to prepare them to go on. I was with a group of high school students yesterday in the Future Ready Center. I'm going to be a PA. I'm going to be a paramedic. I'm going to be a nurse. These are gateway courses for them to begin to know that that is the pathway that they want. What happens if we don't give them that opportunity? What happens if they don't get to go have clinicals and they don't get to, see what that really means? What happens if we're not building IT and cyber security people for our community? It's the things that, once you get a cadence in place, like what we have done, and we've really built this, and you're right, there is a lot of sky ahead of us that we can continue to build these. But I think I don't want anybody to ever take for granted that this is just a given and it's always going to be there. Because if we don't have it, we suffer as a community. Our business and industries suffer. Yeah. Because what do? Any business that's here in Wichita, or any business that's thinking about coming to Wichita, what do they say?
What do they ask? The same question they ask me, they ask you.
They ask, can you build me a workforce?
Yep. Where's my workforce?
It's the first thing they ask. Whether it's Kelly, whether it's me, they always ask, well, can you build me a workforce? We always say, yes, we can build you a workforce. And then we go, whoa, what does that mean? And how are we going to do that? And I think the other thing that's unique about this is it is a power of a partnership. It is the powerful partnership that happens. And I always go back to this. You put education, industry, and government together, and you can do great things. And this is a prime example of great things that have happened.
That was good. Where are we going? What's next with this thing? I mean, we have healthcare, we have advanced manufacturing, we have cyber,
IT.
We have IT, and if you think about the industries that we collectively talk about building here and maintaining and supporting here, it's the things that we just mentioned. Ag is something we talk about frequently here. But what is next in this industry workforce Future Ready Center pipeline? Like, where can this thing go?
Well, the quick first answer is trades. That's the next one. We have actual work that we're putting towards
HVAC, plumbing, things like that.
Electric, and then energy.
Electrical, energy, yeah.
And what the story I try to tell with us, because part of what we're trying to make sure the general public in Wichita knows is that we provide value to the community. Yes. If you don't have kids in the system, you maybe don't know us well. But again, without us, think of what might be happening. We provide value to the community. So what we've tried to do is look at the Greater Wichita Partnerships, 7 economic sectors that they're investing in, and trying to align with those, which is aerospace, materials. You mentioned ag. That's one that we don't have. But energy is one that I think we have industry partners. We have a plan for. So that one is next. Whether that launches next year as part of our bond issue that we'll probably go back out for again. So there's not a location, there's not a plan, there's not a blueprint, sure. But there is a model now of, and it's starting to catch on with kids and families that they know, and there's you hear about it. There's pride to, my kids at the Future Ready Center. You start hearing that. I mean, it's still relatively new, but you start hearing that.
I hear it.
That's all I'll speak to as far as next plans. I don't know if you want to share anything else.
Yeah, Dr. That's what else on your mind?
Well, I always say, building trades is the next one,
Yes.
and that's the last one. But everybody always says that's not really true, and you know that. And so we do have a couple of others that I think could mature over time. The thing I think is interesting is these first ones have, I think, come together pretty easily.
Yeah. Yes.
Now we're at a place where neither of us have any space.
Yep.
We are kind of strapped for funding.
Yep.
And how do we continue to build these out? And so I think that's where we find ourselves. The first 3 just kind of came together in a really easy way. The next ones are going to be a little harder.
Well, help me understand the barriers. What are these barriers? I think the community needs to know. Listen, I'm sold. You know that from your text messages over the last 2 years. I'm sold. We have tri-government meetings to where the city of Wichita, Sedgwick County government electeds, and Wichita Public School electeds are in one room talking about community conversations. And these come up frequently about, hey, how do we best leverage what we have now with resources to support some of the things that we can do jointly together? And this checks all the boxes in many ways. But I think the community also needs to say, okay, if this is important, help us understand the barriers. Like, what are the threats that could cost us programs like this, or cost us not growing these types of programming? Like, what are those? Funding's always an issue. The state's been a great partner.
Yeah, they have.
A great partner. What else is out there that would be barriers to something like this?
Well, we've kind of utilized or exhausted the buildings that we have and the land that we have, frankly. So the space is an issue a little bit. As we have grown our Future Ready centers, others in the state have grown as well, and there is a finite pot of money.
Yeah.
And so then that becomes a little bit less than you have expended each year in return. That is a real issue.
Yeah.
And especially in my world, it's a real issue because you budget for one thing and we get paid a year in arrears. Yeah. So the next year you might get whatever you get. I mean, and it could be 100%, but it could be 90 or it could be 80.
Yeah,
so you
you've
budget,
deployed the resource.
You've already deployed all the resources. So we've budgeted with a bit of a haircut, but it's kind of becoming more than just a haircut. So those are because we could continue to grow this. I feel very confident that we could double what we're doing.
Wow.
Yep.
In the next 5 years.
Double? Do you agree, Kelly?
I do agree. And the other, so funding to pay the teachers, but the other barrier can be finding qualified staff.
Yes.
These are high level, highly trained people from industry. So you can go to Spirit
Sure.
or Textron and have a good job running these same machines you're trying to teach kids about. So it's a matter of resources, but it's also having great staff. Mm-hmm. If we had more teachers, which
Yes.
would take more dollars, but if we had more teachers, we could absolutely increase capacity. Yeah. The other, somewhat of a barrier too is just the awareness. So I appreciate this conversation. Mm-hmm. The more that community and parents know about these opportunities, if you're a parent and you have a junior and they're not sure what they want to do with their future, and they have a free road to go get a good job after high school, they need to know about that.
They need to know about it, and they need to be in the Future Ready centers.
Yes,
because that's the road for them, as you said.
That
it's
is
the
the
roadmap.
roadmap.
So I think there's all kinds of potential. The potential is unlimited in my mind.
And we're barnstorming this thing, right? I mean, they are trailblazing this thing. This isn't something that you're finding in a lot of. That's what is. No. I always tell, and I told both of you, I was like, hey, give me a model we can glean from that's happening across the country, and we can make it unique for us. You're trailblazing these ideas. This is something that's really unique for our community.
It is. I was in D.C. last week and on a national board meeting, and there's about 25 two-year presidents from across the nation at this meeting. This is unique. Mm. I mean, there's no model like what's been built here. Yep. And it is replicable, and it is scalable. And it could look different in rural areas or in other urban areas. It could look different, but it is a working model that is scalable.
Yep. This is not a threat to the traditional 4-year education. My friends, I'm a Jayhawk, and my friends at KU should not be threatened by this model. Our friends, Dr. Muma and I talk frequently about Wichita State and how to build wealth in the community. You need advanced graduate degrees. You need higher education. Sure. It really is. Education is a great equalizer. But my friends at KU, K-State, Washburn, Wichita State, should they be threatened by this model that we're now taking high school kids and saying, hey, here's the path to tech school, then go right into the workforce? We're not going to have these undergraduate bachelor degrees and graduate degrees. Is there a threat there for these?
Well, in my opinion, no. And it's really because it's not as linear. That isn't how it works anymore necessarily. So, and the other thing is that compared to, we're close to the same age. I remember enrolled in K-State. We got the loan check. We put it in the bank. I never thought a thing about it. We just got a you just got a loan.
Got a check.
Kids today are not like that. Uh-huh. They are so debt adverse that they are much more worried about incurring these high amounts of student loan debt than we were back in the day.
They've heard the horror stories.
They have, and so now you have a way to. I can knock out 2 years for free, and then go to college. Like, so it isn't a threat. We use this line, Future Ready Center students are WSU students.
Yeah.
They are. And we have kids, especially in healthcare, go straight into WSU. And I believe they will be better PAs and doctors, et cetera, because they got a CNA. That we will have better engineers coming out of the manufacturing world because they learned how to rivet, right, and how to put the composites together,
and how to do CATIA. They learned the things that make things work between engineering and production.
It's not all theoretical; it's hands-on and it's real.
Well,
so.
I had a kid in my whose parents are in my district and their constituents, and a young boy went through the Future Ready School, got on at Textron, and he went through the training at Textron, and his parents were saying he's kind of frustrated because he already knows all these things.
Yeah.
And he did them through the Future Ready Advanced Manufacturing School. So he's being patient because he's being trained on things that he already knows and understands. Yep. These kids have a head start.
They do, and I would contend that we're helping build that pipeline to the universities. That we're helping build that pipeline. These are students that maybe, very possibly, would have never even given higher education a thought. So what's happening is we're creating confidence and self-efficacy in them at a young age. They're going to go to the workforce. They're going to see things so much earlier in their careers, and they're going to say, okay, if I want to do this, then I got to go do this. Yeah. I contend that the more that we can get involved in the Future Ready Centers, the more pipeline that we're building, not only for industry, but for WSU. Yeah,
there is something to, especially for kids in poverty, academic identity. There's a lot of research about how I see myself as an academic, as a student, and if a student, because we aren't just giving them a credential, they're a WSU Tech student. We're giving them a transcript. Right. And so to create that academic identity of I am a college student, for a lot of our first generation kids, that there's something that's not nothing. There is something to that. That this isn't, because we could give tests and sign off on them or whatever, but to give actual college credit, which is, certified.
And many of them say that. They're like, I never thought I would be a college student.
It's not just college credit you're giving them confidence.
That's right. You're building confidence, self-efficacy. And the other thing, too, is now we've been able to build so many great educational pathways to Wichita State University that every single one of these students that are coming out of the Future Ready Centers with their technical certificates or degrees and go to work, all of that transfers to certain degree pathways at the university that we didn't have 8 years ago, but we do today.
It's incredible. Obviously the state's been a great partner, and I talked to several state legislators, and they understand this program and are hungry to learn more. I've talked to industry leaders. I was in with our Lieutenant Governor Toland in Topeka just a few weeks ago with a prospective company looking to come to Wichita. They were talking about what workforce, do we have assurance of workforce pipelines, and do we have enough employees? Are they trained employees? And guess what came up? The Future Ready School. And then we're not just handling that with adults. We're preparing the future workforce for what we do. So you have the state that understands value here. You have industry that understands value here. Help the city of Wichita and Sedgwick County government. What can we do? Because we desperately care about the health of our economy and the health of our families. And I contend that every policy decision we make should find its connecting link somehow, some way to healthy family. What is it that we can do from the county level, from the city level, who isn't tied into education funding or education? What is it that we can do to help advocate loudly that this is a model that means a lot to this community and that we should be investing in this model?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things come to mind. I do think there is something to what we're trying to do is connect with careers and industries here in Wichita, right? I joke about the marine biology degree. We could have a Future Ready Center for marine biology, but doggone it, there's not many of those jobs here in Sedgwick County. So we're not going to do that. We're going to do the jobs that are here. But there is a quality of place component.
Absolutely.
Right. If we want to retain talent here, and I'm 18, 19, 20 years old, and I could go to Denver or Austin or Kansas City, there needs to be some sort of entertainment, arts, culture, festivals, that sort of thing, because the job won't be enough. I mean, the family ties and the job and all of that will be good, but I do think there's a role in the ecosystem of Wichita for supporting young people, people my age, older people,
Families,
everybody.
yeah.
Yes.
So that we have a quality of life where we're not only proud to be Wichitans, but we want to stay here. We want to grow up here.
good, Kelly.
So I think that's a piece of it.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that, because I think it's figuring out what young people, what gets them to be sticky in Wichita, and then what do we not have that we need to have. And sometimes I think we're not asking the right people the right question.
Mm-hmm.
What do they need? What do they want? I think that's part of it. I think your advocacy of what we're doing and helping communicate the message is so important. It's super important. The city has been incredibly gracious through some ARPA dollars
They funded
they
part of it, though.
funded
Yes,
part of
both
it. I
of
mean,
them.
that's how we accelerated the completion of the aviation manufacturing, and then we had some funding for our healthcare, and then some private business funding. That's how we were able to do that. That's how we were able to accelerate those and get them done so quickly, and get them up and running very, very quickly, actually. So we champion this message all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We need everybody to champion the message. And it takes all of us doing that to move the needle and make sure that people really understand these are great opportunities for their young kids, for their children, for their young adults, that will be life-changing for them.
Yeah.
And, they need the encouragement, whether it's from schools or teachers or counselors, principals, city, county, leaders leaders across the city. That's the message, I think. And then we just continue to figure out how we build and where the gaps are, and how do we fill those gaps with different individuals coming together in order to create the vision and the common good of what this really does.
I would throw one more thing out. I do think, the largest employers, some of the names we've dropped today, are not within city limits. And so transportation can be a barrier for our kids, whether that's an internship or a job. Mm-hmm. So looking at regional transit that could be helpful when you think of Spirit and Textron or Boeing outside city limits. We have a high school that's outside city. It's in Bel Air. Yep. So I think that is a conversation that I think is relevant to the conversation.
It is relevant. And again, we have to tie all decisions back to healthy family, healthy economy, healthy place. And one of the things that I'm really proud of a lot of things right now. I'm proud that this model is uniquely us. Like it's uniquely this community. I'm really proud of that. I'm proud that we are living in a time in this season in local government where there really is a lot of collaboration. We see it between Wichita Public Schools and WSU Tech. We see it in this model and Wichita State University, the big university there. Dr. Moom is squarely in these conversations, and he is terrific at what he does. I'm grateful that it's not just Wichita Public Schools. As someone my kids are in the May School District, that these conversations extend there. I'm grateful that you reach out and collaborate with these other school districts. Mm-hmm. That is a big deal to me. I'm also grateful that we have from the city and the county, all 20 cities in Sedgwick County, but primarily with Wichita, that we are having conversations collectively as how do we share more services? How do we build resources and leverage the resources we have at the county for our cities? So I say all of that to say that the time is now.
It is.
Like we have the people in place. We have the ideas in place. We have a community that's desperately hungry for reform and pivots that we have said, listen, the old model's fine, but we can do better. Like we can be better. And what in business, if we don't reform, if we don't pivot, the market does not reward us. Government typically doesn't work at the same pace to have this urgency to reform and pivot. But what this is are reforms and they're pivots. They're saying there is a way to modernize the model to better impact a community. And I just think that all the right players are in place. And I want to put my foot on the gas. Like I want to go. And I want to identify the barriers, eliminate these barriers, and scream from the rooftops that this is uniquely us and the world can watch what we do here. So I'm grateful. But this pivot and these reforms, you're not just stopping there. So I want to tell another story. I like my kids say I tell a lot of stories. I did 12 years of pastoral ministry. This is what we do. We're great plagiarists. I had breakfast a couple weeks ago with one of your employees. Works at Stanley. And there's a pilot program over there. And just like this Future Ready School conversation, he gets to talking and the hair in my arm starts standing up. And he starts telling me about this concept of community schools. Not a foreign concept. In fact, the first time I heard of this was from Dr. Greer, the superintendent in Mays, who, and I'm going to butcher it. Sorry, Dr. Greer, but she did her PhD dissertation and her work and her area of focus on how do you make the school the hub of a community. So she's all in on these conversations and kind of shared with me some of that information. He was sharing this concept of community schools and how do you make the school the hub of the neighborhood, to where you have nonprofits in there, you have other industry inside the schools, dental, optometrists, I mean, all kinds of things, CommCare in the school. Help me understand community schools and how this fits into the greater ecosystem of how we're modernizing education in our area.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as you said. Honestly, it really isn't. It isn't super complex. It's more of a mindset or a disposition that we are going to be willing to open doors and work together, right? Essentially, and there's details and MOUs and all sorts of things that we have to figure out with all of that. But at its core, it's a needs assessment with the parents and families in the neighborhood. What is it that is the need
in
here?
the unique neighborhood surrounding the school?
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. So it could be adult literacy. It could be workforce. It could be access to clean, healthy food. It could be all sorts of different things. But there's people that help to coordinate that at the school level with the people that live in the neighborhood, and it creates. It creates all sorts of things, but it creates value for what we're trying to do. But it also creates, we have so many people in town that want to help. They want to help. They want to serve. And so just like the Future Ready Center, it's this shining spotlight for industry. If I'm an aviation industry or manufacturing industry, I know right where to go. I go to the Future Ready Center. I don't need to go to all the different high schools and talk to the counselors. I go there because I know that's where the access is. This is the same idea that the school can be the point. It's not our job to do all of those things. We can't do all of those things. But it can be our job to help coordinate those things and advocate for those things and create conduits for people to be. Our kids do better when their families are healthier. There's no doubt about it, right?
Absolutely.
That's profound.
Yeah, when they're rested and they have nutrition and safe, warm spaces, our kids do better. So it is part of our overall goals, but it isn't our main goal.
Right. Yeah.
I just think anytime you can create a synergy of a web of inclusion,
yes,
and you're doing and you take it to the people instead of making them come to you.
Yeah.
You
guys did that on the North End.
We did. We've got community navigators. We have, at McConnell. We have in Oaklawn. We have at 67219, 67214. Community navigators that are in there just helping people. They don't. We just want people to understand that education is in their reach. They all can go to college. What kind of college? And helping them understand how to get a scholarship or how to, get financial aid, all these kind of things. And so we've dedicated, 5 people within this community that go to work every day in those communities to build trust, to build relationships, to be a help for that for students, for their families. And again, it's that synergy of taking it to the people and helping them where they're at, meeting you where you are.
That's right.
Which is what the Future Ready Centers do.
It's exactly what Future Ready Centers do. That's in the community school concept. All of these things are exactly this vision of inclusion of the community in the schools and understanding that these children, these young people, this is our future. They're our future superintendents and presidents of schools. And universities, there are future business owners, our future moms and dads, future pastors, future electeds. These are our future leaders. So, making sure they have the resources and the supports they need earlier in age, it's just better outputs for the community. This is economic development. This is family support. This is all of it. And I'm so grateful that when you said that, depending on the school and the neighborhood needs, Cloud Elementary's needs are different than Stanley's needs that are different than Buckner's needs and all. It's different. And you're able to bring the community and say, this is your school in your district. This is a school in your neighborhood. Can you participate in educating and supporting and loving on our kids? That is profoundly Wichita.
Yeah.
I mean,
This
if
is
you
who we
think
are.
about it, you look at you create the perspective, then then we create the investments, and then what do? We get economic prosperity out of that. I mean, if we look at it from
Lift the
that
community.
and that, then you're lifting people up.
Jeez.
You're lifting the community up. You're lifting. I mean, everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
All these students win. All their families win. Industry wins. Government wins. Everybody wins the day.
I would say, when we first started with Dr. Luke and I in 2021, and we created this model, we figured out what we wanted to do and had it all on paper. And we said, well, he said, do you have any money? I said, no. Do you have any money? Nope. So we were like, well, I don't know how we're going to do this. So we created a 5-year plan, and we got the ARPA money. We were able to do in 1 year what we were going to do in 5 years. Mm-hmm. So you talked about putting your foot on the gas. We can put our foot on the gas, but it takes resources. It takes investment. And, whether that's from the state, whether that's from whoever, private industry, we're ready. I think we're ready to put our foot on the gas. But without some infusion of resources, it just takes time.
It takes resources. It takes vision.
Yeah.
And it takes people that have bold vision, that casts the vision for the community and rallies that vision. So talk to me about, and we'll wrap up here. With you two, man, I could go for days because you fire me up. I get excited about these things. I was joking earlier with Kelly said, I'm so excited about things that happen on the local school level that I'm going to run for school board. Like I'm going to drop the county commission. I'm running for school board. Like I want to help navigate and shape these things. But you don't need more people to run for school board. You need people in the community supporting these efforts and shaping and guiding and advocating for these efforts. But we need vision and we need hope. People need hope. In today's world, we're living in some funny times. People need hope. Last question. How hopeful are you right now? There's a lot going on, and you two are the busiest people in the entire region. Like, are you hopeful right now of where we're at and where we're going?
I am extremely hopeful, and I'm extremely optimistic for lots of reasons. I don't think there's been a better time in the history of Wichita, and I'm a native Wichita, and I've been here my whole life. I don't think there's ever been a better time that things are going to progress, that we are going to continue to be innovative, that we are going to continue to understand the value and the purpose of partnering. None of us can do this by ourselves. We have to do it together. That's when big things happen. I'm very hopeful. I say all the time, every student that comes to us, they have a face, and it's a face of hope. And our jobs are to create those hopes and dreams. We're there to get that to a reality, not to give it to them. They got to earn it. But they have a hope and they have a dream, or they wouldn't be there. They wouldn't be doing it. And our job, which is both a privilege and a responsibility, is to help make that happen. And I feel like there's just this incredible energy in this community right now, unprecedented than I've ever seen before in all the years that I've been involved in this. And I think there is great hope for what's going to happen. And I think we are not going to recognize the city of Wichita and the county that we live in 10 years.
I believe it. Yeah. Kelly, you spend any time with her, you knew what she was going to say. She's a walking bucket of optimism. Kelly, we have some challenges in this community. The county has challenges. There's behavioral health challenges. There's substance use challenges. There's poverty challenges, growing poverty challenges. Wichita Public Schools, you have some building challenges. You have a hard job. We were joking earlier that I say that the 3 hardest jobs in the entire community is Bob Layton's job, Wichita City Manager, Jeff Easter's job, the Sheriff, Kelly Bielefeld, the Superintendent. They're hard. They're really hard. But you're a lot like her. Like you just, from your pores is hope and optimism. Like you agree? You hopeful?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I am very, very hopeful. I said before we started, I don't think you were here yet. I think 2026 will be a profoundly pivotal year in the history of Wichita. I think we'll look back 20 years from now and say, man, 2026 was it. I think this year there's so much that one of the things we realized we narrowly lost the bond issue was we needed to invest in infrastructure, communications infrastructure with the community. And I think you guys have recognized to some extent with the Tri-Gov meetings and some of the things we're doing too. And maybe it was COVID and maybe it was political rhetoric, I don't know what, but we lost a little bit of the face-to-face, let's work together and figure out how to solve problems. And I feel like the momentum is there, the wind is behind us in our sails as far as that goes. And it's ripe. It's ripe with leadership, with will, with community, with so many things going on, industry investment. I just think I've never been more hopeful. I'm very hopeful.
Uniquely us. This is what it is. These Future Ready Centers, all that you're doing. I want you both to know that I am grateful for your leadership, respective leadership, your collaborative leadership. I'm grateful that you engaged the county. You've engaged me and my colleagues and our county management staff. You've engaged us, and we're always in the loop. We always know what you're doing. You're always open to feedback and insight. And so I want you to know that we're grateful for you. We're grateful that you're trailblazers. I think we're going to build statues one day. I'm not kidding. But I also want you to know how much I pray for each of you and your missions. I think that you are here for such a time as this.
Yep.
I believe it in my core. So, and you're right, 2026 is going to be a big year for a lot of different reasons. So thank you for carving out time to come here.
Thank you for the invitation to come. It was fun.
Yes.
It's always great.
It was great.
We love to talk about
Well,
this.
and did you know she's a podcast influencer? She's got her podcast. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Super
I've
smart.
listened. Yeah.
God bless you both. Thank you for being here today. It's
Thank
been
you.
fun.
Thank you.